Welcome to the Emotional Eating Unwrapped podcast. I'm your host, Alana Kessler, an emotional eating and weight loss coach for women looking to fall in love with eating, create healthy attachments with food, and lose weight sustainably. Hello, friends, and welcome to Emotional Eating Unwrapped. I'm your host, Alana Kessler, and I am happy to be here. I am leaving on vacation today. So I am just making sure that all my T's are crossed, my I's are dotted. Before I head out, I want to hop into the studio, record this episode for you because honestly, one of the things that makes me feel the best is knowing that I have honored my commitments to my team, to myself. And it's just one of those things that I've learned over the years that what makes me feel the most happy and confident is knowing that I have kept the integrity to my commitments to myself. And this isn't what today's episode is about, but as I'm sitting here and recording this, I'm like, this is just so great because I know that if I don't uphold my commitments to myself and I'm not saying I have to be perfect all the time, but if I didn't hop in here and record this episode today before my vacation, that would impact the schedule for me, for my team. I would have it on my mind and my nervous system wouldn't be able to get relaxed. And if my nervous system wasn't relaxed, then who knows, what coping mechanisms or things would happen to me while I was on vacation. And I just wanted to illuminate that because it's such a theme in my work and in this podcast that everything is connected. And we often think that one thing is what impacts our happiness, one thing is what impacts our weight, when really it can often be something completely different. And I think such a big aha moment for me was when I realized that preparing myself and my routines and committing to those and making sure that my nervous system feels calm, that is such a big influence on my decisions with eating. That's such a big influence on my confidence in my body, right? Like I have this, if I'm stressed out about something completely unrelated to my body or if something is on my mind, it's almost like I see myself differently in the mirror. And I think that's something that I want to really just drill down on today as we talk about the topic around how being skinny doesn't make you happy. And I think this is a really important topic to talk about because I have definitely had times in my life where I got to this, where I thought that if I got to a certain weight or if I was skinny or if my body looked a certain way in clothes, then automatically I would feel happy. Like I would have that sense of happiness, which for me was confidence, lightness, and almost like everything that I really wanted, my heart's desire would all of a sudden happen for me. I would have a relationship. I would, I'd have this lifestyle that I wanted. And I hung this all on being thin. And I think that is normal, meaning like that's not a healthy way to look at it, but I don't think I'm the only one. I think that society does place a lot of emphasis on you see an ad and someone's living their best life and they're skinny. So it's like, why would we not assume that? It's also messaging that we might have gotten passed down from other women in our lives when maybe this mentality was more prevalent and it was more that belief system that being thin does make you happy was more kind of in the fore. But in this moment in time, being skinny does not make you happy. But I think that it's also important to remember that what does make you happy is feeling and looking the way that you want. And not only feeling and looking the way that you want, but getting there in a way that also respects who you are and doesn't sacrifice certain elements of your autonomy and doesn't put you in a position to feel like you're not fully in control. And I think that I see this a lot with clients of mine who have told me that they've spent all this energy into losing weight, and then they lost weight and they still couldn't maintain a relationship. And what I hear is someone told you that if you got skinny, it would be easier to have a relationship. And I think that that is what the miss is. And then it's like, if I didn't have a relationship, if that relationship didn't pan out, what is the point of even trying so hard? What's the point of even doing that hard work to get skinny? And I think there's a couple things here. One being, if you feel like being skinny is really hard work and your life sucks because of it, or the quality of your life becomes really, really bad because of it, you're doing it wrong, right? And that shouldn't be the case. And the other thing is, being skinny doesn't automatically give you the skills of self-worth. And the skills of self-worth is very different than being thin. And it's the skills of self-worth that gives you that ability to create and sustain long-lasting relationships. And it is important for your self-esteem to look the way you want, to be able to access and prioritize, or to learn the skills that you need to have self-worth. And I think that that is what's really, really valuable about this conversation, where both things could be true at once. Because if you feel like you don't look the way you want to look, then it's going to be difficult to prioritize the self-worth skills, because it might get confusing in the sense where you might feel a lot of self-worth, but you're nervous to express yourself or put it out there because you're self-conscious about your body or how you look. And just because you're self-conscious about how your body and how you look doesn't make you someone who has low self-worth. It just means that you need to take action to prioritize what you need to do to lose weight, if that's something that you really want, right? The answer isn't to just get over the fact that you don't like how you look and somehow figure out a way to like how you look. That's not the solution. The solution is to lose weight, but lose weight in a way that doesn't compromise your quality of life and that doesn't compromise your self-worth in the process. Because an example of compromising your self-worth is focusing so much energy on getting skinny, focusing so much energy on the result, and disconnecting yourself from so many desires, from so many emotions that arise, just to focus on the goal and the rules and the diet, just so you can get to some result. You're missing the whole process that you need to get to the place of both self-worth and getting your body to a place that you want it to be. It's really both of these things that you need to be able to balance in order to feel happy. It happened to me too, where I did get to a weight that was skinny, but one, I've never felt skinny enough, not because it wasn't, but because I was lacking in all the core self-worth foundations, because I was so tunnel visioned on getting skinny that I didn't build up any of the other features and factors of my life. And in fact, it made it worse, right? Focusing on weight loss so much and, having so many rules and restrictions and whatever kind of behaviors, just because I was like, once I get to that goal, everything will be good. That's a lie. That's not how it works. It's really, really important to prioritize weight loss and to invest in improving your body image if you know that will impact your confidence. And it's also important to remember that, being thinner is not what makes your life better. It's the process of healing what the weight was covering over, and the empowerment in learning what you truly need and how to get those needs met that will provide that sustaining happiness. Because I'll tell you something else that happens when you just focus on getting skinny and you don't focus on the other parts of yourself that have the needs, the desires, and making sure that those things are also something that you're focusing on understanding about yourself. What happens is that even if you do get skinny, you do get to the weight that you want to get to, and you start getting all of this attention from people, you're going to have a very difficult time receiving that attention from a place of worthiness. It's going to be a very difficult situation because you haven't really grounded yourself yet in the worthiness of how you look because you were so focused on getting to that end result. And then you get to that end result and everyone's like, and people are like, oh my God, you look amazing. Have you lost weight? Or like mention all these things. And instead of feeling like validation or instead of feeling like, that sense of self-esteem, you feel potentially a little bit exploited. It's not something that feels comfortable to you. And maybe it feels nice to get the compliment, but it's difficult to believe it. And you start getting worried that it's going to go away. And then if it goes away, you're not going to be adored anymore. But again, like I said, attention, and I don't actually think I said this, but making the distinction between attention and adoration, right? People can give you attention, but they don't necessarily adore you yet. Adoration is something that stems from multifaceted things, and it's usually through someone knowing you. When someone values you, adores you, all these things like that, they don't do that because you're skinny. They do that because of so many other elements about your character, about your beingness. And the thing about that belief system that just once you lose the weight, everything will fall into place, it's a big lie because we need to be in a place of alignment with so many other things to be able to receive the happiness that we imagine in our brains. Because it's not the physical that gets us the happiness. It's the physical combined with the emotional, combines with the relational. And that's why it's important that as we're in a weight loss journey, we also focus on these other things, right? That we focus on why we had a weight to lose to begin with. What were some of the core triggers, the root causes of the weight gain? What were some of the emotions and fears that the weight was covering up? Because as you start losing weight and you get attention and you're not healed or you're not on the healing path, healing those things, it can feel very dangerous and exploitative, like I said, to lose weight and start getting feedback from people and attention. And that can actually end up sabotaging. You could end up subconsciously sabotaging yourself and almost pushing away what you want and almost subconsciously pushing away the happiness that you imagined in your brain that you thought would happen when you lost the weight. Because like I said, it's not a physical thing. Being skinny, losing the weight is not what is going to make you happy. It can be a factor in giving you self-esteem and giving you confidence, but it's not the main thing. It really is a tandem journey. It's a tandem journey between knowing yourself and prioritizing how you look and feel in your body at the same time, but not just tunnel visioning towards getting to a weight loss result at the expense of all the rest of it, thinking that once we get there, everything will just fall into place, because that's not going to happen. We need to understand that unless we're honest with ourselves, all of the other issues will still be there after we lost the weight. All of the other issues, right? Like if we haven't understood the root cause of weight gain or of our eating habits or of our inability to maintain or, create healthy relationships. There's certain communication and interpersonal dynamics that keep repeating itself over and over again. That you might have thought to yourself, okay, well, this is only happening to me because I'm physically not what someone wants and I don't look the way that I want to look. And once I look a certain way, all of these other things will go away. But that's not true. So until we're honest with ourselves, all of these things will still be there. And I just want to reinforce the truthness. I don't even know if that's a word, but the real meat of it all, which is you should, and it will really help you to prioritize making sure that you get your body and you get your self-esteem and confidence about how you look right, that you do make that a priority, but not to the point of thinking that once you get there, all of the other emotional and interpersonal and all the other things that haven't worked out for you so far will just magically happen, because that would be a disservice and often ends up backfiring. And often ends up, like I said, because of the tunnel vision and because we can't control everyone else's responses and feedback to us, you can feel more out of control than you did even before when you haven't grounded yourself in all these other areas as you prioritize losing weight and realizing that it's building up so many other skills to create a foundation of self-worth. That is what really, really is the crux and what really does take you to that place where your happiness will just unfold. You will get the life that you imagine, and you will live in a body that you absolutely love and also know how to maintain and feel completely in control and confident in. So with that, thank you so much for joining me today for another episode of Emotional Eating Unwrapped. And you can join me next week for our next episode where I talk about falling in love with eating, losing weight, all the self-worth, self-love, self-value topics that brings you to a place in your life where you feel joy and true, authentic happiness. If you found this episode insightful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with those who may benefit from this empowering knowledge. I have so many free resources on my website to support you on your journey to loving food and losing weight. Just go to www.bewellbyak.com. And until next time, I'm Alana, and thank you for listening to Emotional Eating Unwrapped.